The pit crew approach. Does teamwork really make the dream work? Find out on this episode of BTS Raw Chats.
This is BTS Raw Chats. BTS Raw Chats. Where real media creators chat after hours. We don't give away raw files. We give you the raw, behind-the-scenes chatter of the photo and video production world. The Raw Chat starts now.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of BTS Raw Chats. And if you don't know who we are real media creators talking about what really happens within the production industry. We want this show to help others out there deal with the day-to-day things that really happen behind the scenes. And now you know. And today we're coming up in a little approach, no pun intended, of our topic, the pit crew approach. And so how is this relevant to video production or multimedia production? Well, it's a lot more than what you think, because what we want to focus on is teamwork and how teamwork makes the dream work. And with me, our very special guest, Sherry.
Hey.
And also, if you don't know who I am, I'm Dave. Because I had people.
Episode 18, my name is Dave.
Yeah, by episode 18, you will know my name, right? And then, like, I'm Dave, aka Dave.
And his name is John C.
Just call me Davey.
Just call me Davey. Pit crew approach. So this is an interesting topic, and it's all relevant to what we do, whether you see it or not. And hopefully we're going to expose the pit crew approach. So, Sherry, tell me a little bit about what an actual pit crew does. If you're a race car driver out there or a race car fan, it's important to have a good pit crew on your side, because it'll get you faster out there on the racetrack when they're repairing those tires and swapping out those tires to get you on the road a lot quicker. So how is that relevant to us? Well, we're going to approach it. But first, let me get a little insight of what a pit crew is. Sherry, share with us.
A pit crew is a combination of people that train all the time to perform multiple tasks to achieve one common goal.
Oh.
How many times have you been on a chaotic production set where there's
Plenty.
multiple people, everybody's running around like, chicken with their head cut off, and nobody knows what their job is?
Mm-hmm.
So if you use a pit crew approach and you have your team and you assign people tasks, then they can go and they know exactly what their job is. There's no confusion.
You could almost list out what a pit crew is when you see the ending credits on every movie.
Right, right.
They have particular things that they're assigned to. We're trying to tell people out there is that sometimes you could do things on your own, absolutely. But there's most of the times that you're going to be working with a crew. Having the right people in the right areas helps out with the efficiency of things in production. And that's why we are elaborating on the pit crew approach. So, Sherry, not a lot of people know this, but you have a background on, if I could share this with you, or share this with the audience, EMS services, right?
Right.
Back in the days, you guys had a similar pit crew approach on.
That's exactly what it was called. It was the pit crew approach. It's the pit crew approach to CPR. And the point is that everybody, all your first responders, everybody has a job. Mm-hmm. So when you go into a cardiac arrest, this one's going to start compressions. This one's going to hook up the monitor. This one's going to do airway. This one's getting the IV. This one's drawing up the medications. And it all works like a finely tuned, well-oiled machine.
Awesome.
Because a lot of times you can get on the scene of a call and it's chaotic because people aren't sure what they should be doing.
Absolutely.
Although, everybody has a job to do, but it's still, it takes that part out of the equation. Like, all right, he's doing this, I'm doing that. It was the first two that were on scene. Mm-hmm. So it's like kind of whoever gets there first, then your roles fall into place in that order.
Right.
Compressions, airway, this, that. And it works. And, there's a lot of research behind it. So the pit crew approach to CPR has proven to have higher patient survival rates because it's so quick, Mm-hmm. And so it got me thinking, like now that I'm not in that line of work, I retired 4 years ago. I was
Mm-hmm.
an EMT for 20 years. Mm-hmm. So fast forward, now I'm in production. That makes sense. There's a long story behind it, but that's what it is. I've been on these chaotic sets, and I still think pit crew, because again, it goes back to pre-production. So say you have, see me and you were sitting down, we have, 4 or 5 other people, you can assign them tasks. Like, you're going to work this camera. He's going to work the other camera. This one's going to be shooting B-roll. This one's going to be taping wires down to the floor so nobody trips. This one's going to be, et cetera, et cetera.
Absolutely. And that's why there's different degrees of positions in production. Mm-hmm. No one person can do it all. Yes, you can, but it all depends on what you're doing, mm-hmm. right? So you have, for example, an audio guy that just focuses mm-hmm. on audio, and you have an audio technician, an audio engineer. Sometimes you have audio guys that have multiple audio people in their crew, mm-hmm. focusing on specific things. Say for example, you have an audio cart that monitors like 5 different people that have dialogue, and they're out there mixing and doing their thing. Everything is, like you said, it's a functionality of things. It's making it more efficient. And right. The more people that you have on that chaotic set, the less stress you feel.
Right.
I can't even compare what you've gone through in that line of work. Mm-hmm. But the stress levels are like so super high. And we, as production people, multimedia people, we have to kind of like go at the same approach, not to the levels of life-threatening things,
right,
but it almost feels that way to me because for me personally, I understand that certain people have high budgets and they put a lot of money into creating this image mm-hmm. that they are expecting to see. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have that, they're not going to hire you for the next thing. They probably won't even broadcast it. They'll just recast another production company that knows what they're doing. That's scary. Especially with the competition that's happening lately as content creators or multimedia creators, we have to be on point on everything. So that's why it's important to hire the right types of people on crew.
Right. That was like another point that I was gonna, because if you have people that don't really know their place, they don't know what they're doing, that's what creates the chaos.
Absolutely.
Because they're just kind of wandering around looking for something to do because they don't know what they're supposed to do.
I have a story on that one.
Do share.
I had a test for me personally on a chaotic set versus pre-produced set, pre-production and all that stuff. Obviously, which one who won,
yeah.
The pre-production, but compared to the chaotic chaos. Now, granted, I completed the actual job, but I had so many people on that crew that did not know what they were doing. Say, for example, I was telling someone that has no idea what a 4x4 silk is to Hollywood, the bounce into the shot. And that person was looking at me like I had 4 eyes. So I had to stop what I was doing as the cinematographer to go grab the 4x4 bounce and come and position it the right way. And I don't know if there's a lot of people out there that had that similar thing happen to them, but it's frustrating because it slows down the production. And that's why we coming up with the pit crew approach, because they are fast, they are efficient, they know what they're doing. And each individual person this is my role. This is what I do. Say, for example, if I had a grip guy or a gaffer, I could tell him, hey, go and get that 4x4 silk and bounce that 4x4 silk so that way I could fill.
Like, how exciting would that be?
Exactly. Some situations, I don't even have to explain it that much. I don't have to explain why I need a 4x4. They just tell me, where do I put it? And does that look good? Great. Perfect. Go, instead of like having somebody that like the 4x4 frame is breaking down and all that stuff, and they have like equipment everywhere, so I don't have to worry about that. I tried to explain it a little bit to one of my bosses as of the importance of having the right people on set, because there was expensive equipment everywhere outside, okay, mind you, like I had lapel mics on the floor, I had silks, flapping around everywhere, because we were in such a tight time frame that I couldn't do it all. You can't do it all, is what I'm saying. Hire the right types of people, position them in the right types of environment.
Right. When you have the right people, they'll also be able to anticipate what needs to be done.
Absolutely.
And that was the biggest thing in my job. I mean, obviously we trained all the time, all the time. I mean, it was like part of the job. You have to train all the time.
Right.
But that's good, or you have people that are book smart, but you have to be able to put it to work, And if you can't anticipate the needs of what the patient or your partner needs, you're not going to be any good to anybody.
Absolutely.
If I have to, especially, in an emergent situation, if I have to stop and tell you why or what I need and you don't know, you need to move over to the side.
It's crazy.
And you don't have time to do that. And the same can apply to like production. Like you said, if you have to stop and explain to this person like how to do this job, then maybe you shouldn't be doing this job.
Prime example, I had that same person. I told that person to get me a 12 to 35. And they looked at me like, what is that? And they started like digging through my bag. And that's what's frustrating, is like I had a spread of all of my equipment everywhere just to look for a lens.
Yeah.
And I had to explain to them that, okay, this is a 12 to 35. Look on the side of the lens, 12 to 35 millimeter.
I'm just like shaking my head now.
And it's like, and I almost had to explain to them, why am I using that lens? It's because it's a wider shot,
right.
And,
it comes back to training and education.
Absolutely.
If you want to be in this line of work or any line of work, educate yourself on how to do the job that you want to do and make money at. I mean, you can't just sit there and be told what to do all the time and people have to babysit you.
Absolutely. And we'll elaborate on that more after this commercial break.
Sherry Elisa Photography specializes in beautifully styled modern portrait photography, offering professional in-studio photography services to all of Southwest Florida. Push creativity to the next level. Create custom themes that will complement every personality and style. On-site professional hair and makeup is also available. Our studio is conveniently located off US 41 and Boy Scout Drive, next door to the Sam's Club Plaza. Book your spot now with SherryElisaPhotography.com.
Calling all pit crews. Coming in hot. So elaborate on it a little bit more about the pit crew approach, Sherry.
Why is it that some production teams maybe outperform others when others seem to always crash and burn? It's not always about the individuals, but the teams that are built and function together as a unit.
Very nice.
So here are some tips to help you find the right people for your team. When you pick the right people, they can bring exceptional talent, enthusiasm, and ideas to your workplace.
Right.
That bounces off of each other. So if you have a good crew that you handpicked and you know that everybody knows the job that they're supposed to do and they know how to do it, that makes for a happy environment too.
Right. That's awesome, because the contrast between a well-produced production versus a fly off the seat of my pants production. It's so less stress, because you know how everything is gonna go throughout the day.
Yeah.
I had an example where I had built the call sheet that we were gonna do a half day, and we were literally out there to the T on the time frame, and we covered everything that was on the storyboard and on the B-roll list, and it went smoothly. And the client actually complimented and said, I don't know who set up the call sheet, but like, you guys are out of here on the time that it actually said.
That's awesome.
That's a great feeling. And that comes with experience. You're not going to have it knocked out in your first shoot. That's why it's important to shadow certain people before you go out there, so you understand what you're going to do in your career.
And I'm sure, you know, on huge productions, they got their shit together. But I'm talking more about like the me and you and like where we came from. Like,
absolutely.
You know, that other place that we used to work at is complete chaos all the time. It doesn't matter what it is. But if we had, say, me, you, and like maybe 3 or 4 other team members that we always work together on a regular basis, we can actually use this pit crew approach. We could do scenario setups. Hey, let's go set up the studio and see how long. You know, this way you're not taking 3 hours to set up lights.
Absolutely.
You know, you could go in and you know, do like the pit crew. You got your little sound effects.
Yeah.
You know, this one's setting this up and this one's plugging this stuff in, and you got the HDMIs and you're plugging that in there.
Right.
And everybody's working together, you know.
Just like in any other position, there's certain call outs. With the police department, there's certain call out numbers and all that stuff that they radio in, so that way no outside people freak out,
exactly.
you know, of what
codes.
that thing. Yeah, exactly. The 10 codes.
I could still have a whole conversation in just 10 codes.
Yeah. That's awesome. It's the same thing as if I asked for a C-47. Hey, grab me a C-47. And they look at me like with 3 heads, you know? And then I slowly approach them and grab this clothespin, this wooden clothespin, and pinch my little light. And then like, that's not a C-47. That's that's a clothespin. Absolutely. If you knew what the languages are for the pit crew approach, it's going to be a lot easier.
And it all comes again back to training.
Absolutely.
Like, you have to train and continue your education. Like,
and also it's a level of respect, you know? They'll respect you even more because you know the lingo. This guy knows, or this girl knows what they're talking about.
Yeah. And I think, you know, it might be maybe a little difficult because, I mean, every set's different. I mean, how many times have you set up a set 101, you know, and then you got to tweak it. But if you could get it to where it needs to be and then do your little tweaks after, as long as you have people that are actually able to help you, it relieves the stress off of you because you're the one producing. This is your production.
Absolutely.
You know, so like even when we work together, for the most part, I worked often by myself, but the few times that I did have you for like bigger productions, everything was so smooth. You were out there doing B-roll. We got the other camera set up. I'm in here switching. We got the headsets. We're in constant communication.
Communication. And that's the key. Yes.
Yeah. And you know, I'd say I'm on this camera and you switch to, and like keep on talking, and it just works. It makes it a lot easier when you have that constant communication and people know what they're doing.
Absolutely. And for some weird reason, there's other people that think that our approach is less efficient. Go try it yourself, you know?
Yeah. Or the very last production that we were on together for this unnamed company that I used to work for, we had everything perfectly smoothly working. It was great. Everything was golden. And then somebody had to come in and start changing the cameras and the camera angles, and everything was completely out of focus. So I don't understand like how you're supposed to have a well-oiled machine when you have people like that.
That's why you have to have procedures in place.
Right.
You know, that makes sense.
Right. But like how do you weed that person out?
It's
like
tough.
In some situations you just can't.
Here's the thing is like, if you think that your approach is better than what the common thing is out there, by all means, open it up. Let me know what's going on. Let it work. But we have done that before. And the time frame between our system and their system, it's unmatched. Like, our system wins all the time because people don't like to work in chaos. Well, some people, you know,
it's
love
different.
to work
like
in
where I
chaos.
came from, yes, you're going to be in a chaotic environment every single day, hours on end, but that's expected and you're prepared for it. When you're in unnecessary chaos that's purposely created for unknown reasons, that's a totally different frame of mind, because you're trying, the work is different. So for the unnecessary chaos, it's just unnecessary.
Absolutely.
Like, you can't have a pre-production for, say whatever call you're going to run. You can train for it.
Right.
Nothing's ever going to go as planned. It doesn't go as it says in the textbook. That's where Murphy's Law comes in. But when you have a pre-production for a video and you sit down, you discuss and you have all of these, storyboards and this and that and all this stuff, there's no reason why that can't be followed.
Absolutely.
I mean, yeah, you're going to have little mishaps here and there, but when you have people that come in and completely erase what you're trying to do, or completely change the settings on your camera,
absolutely,
for no reason, I mean, that's,
And going back to the certain positions on how your camera settings fits for that particular cinematographer, it's the same approach as the pit crew approach, where somebody one hands the tire or two hands the tire, and then guess what? The other pit crew that's helping that person out, hey, this guy likes to approach putting on a tire with one hand. I'll train myself how to give them the tire off, so that way he feels more comfortable to put that tire on the style that he has it. And that's why there's cinematographers that have ACs with them, and they love working with that particular AC because they know that DP style, and it's a well-oiled machine, and that's why you hire the particular person for those particular jobs.
Right.
And if you come in as green or non-experienced, guess what? You do have a position. It's called production assistant, PA. You're working your way up to the category that you want to fit in.
Right.
That's why it's important to do the shadowing, or to make a little bit of money doing the PA stuff, so that way you understand the ecosystem of production.
Right. And then you get to the point when you're all working together like that, you don't even have to speak, because like you said, you're handing this guy this tire. You're handing it to the way he likes it to be handed to. And it was like that with me. I had partners for years at a time, and we didn't have to speak. We could be on the worst call you could ever imagine, and we just look at each other and we know exactly what needs to be done. And you go into action, and that's it.
And that is a beautiful system. That is exactly how I would love to work.
Right.
I used to work that way in higher production companies, like, for example, the $100,000, the $200,000, shoots. And it doesn't, the budget thing doesn't really matter. What matters is I don't have to tell you anything. We already know what we need to do.
Right.
Say, for example, I don't have to tell the audio guy that I'm using a wider lens for this. He already knows to boom up, because the boom is going to be dipped into the shot.
Yeah.
I don't have to say, hey, audio guy, your audio's in the shot, He already knows. Or they already know how to do that particular push in on that dolly, or that slide on that dolly. Not a lot of people, they just assume the image just looks that way. No, they don't see that you need to level off the track with wedges, and you need a 500-pound peewee dolly with like a hydraulic lift to get that particular shot. And it took possibly 15-20 minutes if your crew is good, maybe less, but it took so much time to build that track to get that one epic shot. But it takes a crew that knows what they're doing at an efficient rate, because they do it all the time, and they know the system.
And they anticipate the needs. They know,
Yes.
all right, he's got a wider lens. They know. And because you have to watch and pay attention. There were so many times where I had to keep explaining, like, if you were paying attention and following, you would be able to anticipate what's going to happen next. Shouldn't have to keep telling you which shot to go to or which way to turn the camera. You should be able to do that on your own.
So with the pit crew approach, shall we say, it helps with anticipation.
Yeah. Yeah, anticipation.
And with that, we're going to go to our 3 recommendations. And now, our 3 recommendations presented by Sherry.
So the first one is from an EMS magazine. It's called Gems. But they have a really good article in here about the pit crew approach to CPR and how it has higher patient survival rates. If anybody's interested in reading that, it's on there. But it's the concept. Number 2, 5 tactics for working effectively in a team. And then number 3, what are the 3 rules of NASCAR pit crew members? These 3 links, those are the articles. But then I have 3 videos.
Bonus. Okay,
Bonus
what are the
content.
Yes. What are the 3
Right, so,
what are the 3 videos?
Right. So the 3 links match the 3 videos. They're not the same, but it kind of explains. So like I first mentioned the first one from Gems, which is the article about the pit crew approach. And I wanted to include that because that's what kind of gave me this whole idea anyway for
Love
this
it.
whole. But there's a good video on it. That's Pit Crew CPR, so you can see that video and just see how it kind of goes hand in hand. And then the second one, the 5 tactics for effectively working in a team. I don't have a video for that. The one that I kind of put for it is how the Indy pit crews are trained, which is really cool. It shows like this very intense training that they go through so that they can perform at the very best that they can. And they even have it's called Pit Fit, like a CrossFit for pit crew.
That's crazy.
trainees.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people know how intense it is.
Yeah.
And I know because I was in the middle of because I filmed for Panther Racing at one time.
Okay.
And I almost was gonna die because they were like, "Get the hell out of the way!" You know what I'm saying? Like I was in the middle. I'm just trying to get this shot. You know what I'm saying? It's such a cool shot.
So like it gave me an idea, like production pit crews. You know, you can have training. You can do on off time, sit around, see what people, maybe what you need help with, or like practice, or just I don't know, learn and be a team.
Like I said before, it's better to have the hands-on experience than it is to reading a textbook or watching videos online.
Right.
You could get a lot of information online, but to actually
You have to do it.
use the equipment.
That was my biggest gripe with EMS because I mean there's some brilliant, highly intelligent people, super freaking, the smartest people. Put them on the call, they don't know what the hell to do.
Absolutely.
And I'm one of those people. Yeah, I'm good. I passed, my test. I'm good at that. But I'm more hands-on.
I could vouch for that for particular people that came out of film school.
Yeah,
I
they're
can't
book
tell you
smart.
how many people came out of film school that have $200,000 debt and they don't know what they're doing.
Right.
They don't know how to edit. They
Right.
don't know how to light.
Right. They don't know how to put it to work.
Any of the basic things. And it's like almost like, what did you do over there? You know? It's like...
But it's true. So you have people that are book smart, but they're not able to put that to work when it matters the most. You have to be able to do that part of the job too.
Absolutely.
So I think, being able to train and like maybe go over and just practice, because practice, The third one is just kind of like a bonus video. It's called The Wildest Pit Stops from All-Star Racing. And they just kind of show like how all of that training, how the pit crew comes together to work as a team.
What is the point of the show?
I really don't know, Dave.
The point of the show is, yes, it does. Teamwork really does make the dream work in the pit crew approach. And with that, what do we say, Sherry?
See you later.
Yes. And also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And also, comment below. Thank you so much. And quick shout out to Michael.
Yay, Michael. We love you. See you soon.
We'll see you soon.